let's go ahead and get going. So thank you everybody for joining our Energy Data Insights on AWS for the OSDU Data Platform Enablement sessions. This is our probably the fifth time that we're doing it over the past couple of years with different presentations from partners and the product team. My name is Yuri Gubanov. I'm the Principal Partner Solution Architect for Energy. And today I'm joined by Chris from AWS and Prashant from the Hitachi Digital Services 47 Lining. I'll let them introduce themselves when they are going to start presenting. But I just wanted to go ahead and share the agenda and kind of kick us off. So let me go ahead and switch to the slides. By the way, if somebody can give me a thumbs up in the chat if slides are visible, that would be appreciated. And if not, I'm assuming that you all can see it. Cool, thank you. All right, so the agenda for today, I'll kick us off and then I'll transfer the presentation to Chris Henton, who from AWS, who will give us update on the energy data insights, product updates, and the agentic vision. And then we'll turn it over to AWS Partner presentation. This time it's Hitachi Digital Services. And Prashant, the Senior Director there, will going to give us updates on new features and new capabilities. And finally, we will wrap up with upcoming events, Q&A, and survey. So for the first portion of the presentation, we will record it. Chat is not recorded, so please feel free to post your questions there as they go along. If you need to come off mute and ask the question, please feel free to do so. And again, please make sure to fill out the survey at the end of the session. That will be highly appreciated. All right, so we've been doing the Energy Data Insights on AWS Enablement session for about a couple years now. All of the sessions are recorded and they're posted on the YouTube playlist that we maintain. And we had a pretty good amount of views there. So I'm just going to go ahead and after I'm done sharing, paste that link in the chat if you want to advertise this to your colleagues who couldn't make it, or you just want to background on the OSDU and AWS. Just a quick ask if you could please mute. Yep, thank you. Yeah, that's a great resource for everything we shared before. Again, we've been doing this for about a couple of years, and this session will be uploaded shortly after this webinar as well. So a couple of notes of the upcoming events. I'm going to go ahead and do this now. So if you're willing and wanting to connect to AWS representatives, we have a few folks attending different events over the next few months. Probably the most immediate one is the Open Group Houston Summit. We will have a few of our colleagues join there. That will be in April 27th through 30th in Oslo, Norway. We have Image meeting coming up in Houston at the end of August. So we're going to be there as well, mostly in the digital pavilion. And if you want to have a chat about OSDU, EDI, or any of the AWS service offering, this is where you can find us as well. And finally, and AWS Energy Symposium in the September 16th and 17th of 2026, that will be in Houston, Texas. I think the announcement's coming out shortly. I believe it's going to be in GRB or somewhere surrounding hotels. More info to come soon. Again, if you are wanting to learn more about it, please don't hesitate to email me. My email is ygubanov@amazon.com. You can find my name at the original recording link and at the invite list. With that, I'll turn it over to Chris Henton for the first portion of our presentation. And Chris, let me know if you want to go ahead and share your screen or you want me to share for you. Whatever works.
No, I can share. I can probably just about manage that.
Okay.
Famous words. First time I've been on a Chime for a little while, so good to be here.
Yeah. That's a good call out. Yes, I tried to change it to a different platform, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to. But I'm glad that at least 20 of you were able to join Chime. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize why we retired Chime internally. But here we go. Okay, good, excellent. All right, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. Yuri, can you just give me an okay on that side?
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. All right, excellent. So thank you everyone for joining this morning, this afternoon, wherever you may happen to be. My name is Chris Hanton. I am the Global Product Lead for Energy Data Insights at AWS. I've been with AWS for 18 months now. And so Yuri asked me to jump on the call today, really just kind of give an overview of where we're at with EDI. And we are appreciative that it's been a little while since we've done one of these. So I thought for everyone, firstly, just give a little bit of a recap of what is Energy Data Insights, how does it interact with OSDU, what does it add, what are the differences, etc. Then I want to give a little bit of a recap on what we've been up to in Q1. It's been a busy quarter, so a lot of updates rolled out. So we'll be talking a little bit about what we've brought to the platform. And then I wanted to Amazon, anyone who knows anything about Amazon, then obviously working backwards is a big thing here. And so obviously having a lot of conversations with our customers in terms of not just how they see the platform, but in terms of how they interact with subsurface data moving forwards. Obviously, AI is the word on everyone's lips right now. And so I'll be talking a little bit about what our customers are asking us to maybe move the platform towards. And I'll finish off with a quick demo of some of the capabilities that we're looking to add and also how that interacts with some of the other Amazon platforms we have in terms of our Amazon Quick platform as well, just to kind of show how subsurface data can be utilized in agentic workflows moving forwards and how EDI can be a core part of that. And so we do have quite a lot to get through today, so I will jump straight into it. For those of you who maybe need a little bit of a recap of what EDI is, Energy Data Insights, and so it is our tool which takes the OSDU implementation, obviously puts it onto AWS, and then we've supplemented it with some additional capabilities based on what we're hearing from our customers in terms of, yes, we love OSDU, we see the value in OSDU, but it would be great if perhaps we could have things which help with perhaps ingestion or interaction with existing data sources or some of our new workflows that we're building out. And so that's really where we look to take EDI. And so one of the things that we added very early on was the IQ, which is our AI-powered data ingestion. And so the key capabilities there is its ability to take non-OSDU data standards and convert them to OSDU. And so obviously we are not in a greenfield industry here. Oil and gas energy has been around for quite some time, and there's an awful lot of existing data platforms out there. And so rather than having to rebuild from scratch, is there a way for us to take that existing work that's been done in terms of data pipelines, data cleanup, and then be able to convert that quickly and easily to OSDU, so we get all the benefits of the interoperability which come from OSDU, but also are able to build really on the shoulders of our data management giants that have been within our operators for the past 20, 30 years and more so in some cases. And so that's really what IQ does, is it enables you to intelligently map those standards, but also ensures completeness and quality control so that what you put into OSDU is compliant with those standards, which are now moving towards being codified by the open group themselves. OSDU obviously is a core part of it. That's the core storage component. And I'll be talking about the various M releases that we have, the various schemas that we support, but essentially trying to keep up in terms of the cadence with the OSDU releases. Obviously, that's going to continue. And so I don't have a roadmap today, but I do have kind of talking about where we're going, but alignment with those standards as we look to move into the exciting world of the Venus release. Obviously, something which we're continuing to be a big part of the forum there as well. And then finally, just like we have existing data platforms, we also have existing applications. And so a lot of the big partners that we're speaking with, the likes of Landmath, the likes of SLB, for example, are building their tools to be compliant with those, with the OSDU standards. But there's also a lot of applications which maybe either aren't no longer developed, maybe they're internal applications, and so rather than having to recode all of those to be able to run natively from the OSDU APIs, we have the transformer tool, and that basically does the opposite of IQ, and that it enables you to map the OSDU schemas to those non-OSDU compatible applications. And obviously the reason why we do this is because we want to really increase the speed of time to insight, and that's ultimately where, speaking speaking as a geoscientist myself, that's really the value of OSDU, and that's really the value of EDI, is that faster time to decision, increased data confidence, and really just trying to build up those subsurface workflows on an enterprise scheme. And you'll see things like analytics and AI workflows. I'll talk a little bit about how we're supporting those moving forwards as we get later into the presentation, but the theme is continuous, and the fact that our customers are asking us to enable them to be able to harness more of their subsurface data faster and in more ways than they've ever been able to do before. So that's a core part of our EDI product evolution moving forward, is really supporting those workflows. In terms of kind of like the feature set, and we've been through some of this, so I'll go through this slide pretty quickly. Obviously, it is the core platform, so the core storage mechanism here is the OSDU data platform running on AWS services, following that milestone release schedule. Then, like we said, we have IQ, which is the AI-powered automated data ingestion. That's really about standardizing data and speeding up the ingestion. So the other thing it does is also, obviously, things like seismic, for example, are very large, could be up to terabytes, and even potentially in some cases petabytes worth of data that you're ingesting into the platform. And so utilizing some of the cloud-based capabilities that we have here at AWS to really try and speed that ingestion process. And so again, really just trying to reduce the friction and increase the time of access to that data by the subsurface teams. Transformer, I spoke about, is that idea of getting data into non-OSDU aware applications, making sure that OSDU becomes not just a source for OSDU apps, but all apps that you have within your ecosystem. Something that we work closely with our partners at Hitachi with, and we'll be talking a little bit about this later, is the EDI administration platform. So making sure that you have the ability as a technical data management team or as an IT department to be able to really manage, well, who can access this data. Obviously, a key part of data platforms is data governance, and so making sure that we have the tools to be able to manage not just the quality and the technical assurance of the data, but also the entitlements, the legal tax, all the granularity which is available within OSDU, and trying to make sure that that is something which can be operationalized so that a team can manage that moving forwards. On that, we also have AWS as a managed service. So what does that mean? Well, it means that when you get EDI in your platform, the upgrades are managed by our team, the security patches, the fixes, etc. And so you don't need an operational team working on making sure that the underlying infrastructure component works. You can focus purely on that business enablement, so making sure that folks can access the data, making sure that you have the right level of data quality, making sure that you're getting the data in there as quickly as possible. Very much in keeping with how we work across the business at AWS, we'll take care of the infrastructure and the kind of like that component of it, and we'll leave the business to our customers, who really are the experts in that area. And so, sorry, I have to go random pop-ups here. And so the other part of it as we move forward is, and this is the new space, is the AI workflows. How can we help OSDU really fit into that AI workflow there? And so that's the next step, and that's some of the presentation which I'll be giving later today. So what did we do in Q1? So just a very high level summary. We do have the release notes available on the OSDU website, and we'll be able to give you a link to that. But sorry, the EDI website on AWS. If you go there, you can see all the various release notes. But I've kind of crammed together 3 sub-releases into one presentation here. And so the main things are that we are now supporting M25.2. What does that mean from a business component? It means that Rock and Fluid DGMS is now promoted to graduate status, and so EDI can now become a home for your core, your cuttings, your fluid analysis, PVT, all that hard to manage data traditionally. Now that OSDU has that as a fully graduated schema, you've got the ability to now manage that in the EDI platform and come up with that same consistency that you have for well logs, for seismic, for well headers, etc. And now you can apply it to the rock and fluid space. And so obviously that's key for particularly those, as a petrophysicist, that's close to my own heart, but also when we get into production, when we get into source rock analysis, all that good work is now available there. And so it really helps us get into that next stage of field development planning. Some of the other things more on the security side of it. So Secret Service has also been promoted to graduate status, essentially enables OSDU and thereby extension EDI to be able to align with various certifications, the big ones being SOC 2 and ISO. I'm not going to say that number, but that number there of the ISO. And then the final thing is that the Reservoir DDMS got an upglow. It now, along with the rest of the platform, is now supported through REST API, which obviously is kind of like the de facto interaction technique for developers, and so makes that Reservoir DDMS much easier for consuming applications to be able to work with now that it's utilizing the REST API system. Some of the other things we added, a little bit less around the core platform, more around the tool itself, networking implementation improvements. What we heard from our customers, obviously, we are dealing with a highly quite a regulated industry, particularly in certain parts of the world. And so making sure that EDI, that although we are deploying it as a managed service, works with our customers' extended IT infrastructure. So things like having a private VPC deployment option there, which obviously is key for protecting sensitive subsurface information. And also smoother integration with identity provider integrations. And so big ones there, Enter ID and Ping ID, but others also supported now, really just trying to reduce the friction there. And again, that comes back to the idea of the getting AMS EDI rolled out, and then being able to plug that into your other systems so that your users can access it and get value from the solution as quickly as possible. So it's really just that continuous evolution of the product to be something which is quicker and easier to implement. And again, along with all the ingestion and all the integration additions that we put into it, moving into the, well, let's get this stood up quicker and enable our users to be able to really feel the value of the platform. In terms of some of the other enhancements, so I mentioned the administration access portal. So again, and I'm sure Prashant will be talking a little bit more about this, but in terms of the capabilities to be able to access the tool, be able to view the tool itself, be able to view the data, really working in terms of updating that UI theme, making really a focus on usability here. So can folks who need to be able to see what data is in the platform, whether that's system administrators, whether that's geoscientists, can they quickly find the information that they need, be able to understand, is it in the system, be able to manage things like the various entitlements, the legal tagging, and again, just be able to make that more of a product feel, relying less on, for instance, API connections to be able to control that. And again, out of the box deploying something which means that the team can operationalize this into their business workflows as quickly as possible. And so that's some of the key work that we've been doing with our partners over at Hitachi Digital Services. And again, other side of the partner on the Petabyte side, working with our EDI IQ development team there to really expand out the capability. And so what we're hearing from that side is, again, a lot of focus on the UX, the UI, making it easier to utilize, making it easier for users to be able to set up ingestion jobs, be able to map that, monitor the data quality, the completeness, the actual process of the jobs, but also expanding out the data types that it handles as well. What we're hearing from our customers is that OSDU clearly was developed first and foremost for oil and gas, but there's a lot of value for other disciplines and industries out there that also deal with subsurface data. And so one of those is mining. And so one of the companies that we're working closely with has built a number of schemas which are currently going through the OSDU graduation service, but as a core part of their business, I'd like to accelerate that process. And so what we've worked with Petabytes here is to roll in some of those mining data workflows directly into the tool. And so you can expand EDI beyond just those OSDU schemas, and you can start adding your own schemas. And so mining data has some specifics which needed to be added to the tool. And so putting those in so that now as a mining industry, you can now start utilizing the same core OSDU services, etc., but you can start mapping in your own schemas and utilize that to really push interoperability on that side. And so that's kind of the update. A lot that we've been doing. Like I said, if you'd like a deeper dive on it, then I encourage you to head over to our website. We'll send you the link, and that's got the breakdown of the individual release notes going back all the way through the various versions, 2 is our most recent update. And so if you just go through those, you'll be able to see a deep dive of those particular features which I've overlooked during this short summary. So moving on, what are we hearing from our customers? So OSDU was founded about 2018. Obviously, it's been built on industry initiatives that have been going on for a lot longer than that. And so the traditional workflow has been very much focused on supporting applications. And so when it comes to applications, often as a geoscientist, we're looking, what I term vertically, we're looking for kind of down the well bore. So I want to know about a few wells, and I want to know an awful lot of information about those wells. And so I really want to dive deep into well header trajectories, formation tops, logs, interpretations, production, to name just a few. You could add rock and fluids into that as well. And so I really want to do a deep dive. And that's really how OSDU's been architected from the ground up, is to really support that ability for users to be able to select a bunch of data and then dive down into those details. What we're hearing from our customers is that that is still a very powerful workflow, and that honestly is the core workflow for our geoscientists and our subsurface teams. But there are also other parts of the business which could also see value from having this single source of data. And so AI and analytics are two of those. Analytics has been obviously around for a little bit longer than the AI growth engine that we're seeing now, but they both look at data in the same way. As opposed to maybe tell me everything about this one particular well, they're looking for trends across data, and that could be trends across production. It could be looking to say, well, I've got 10,000 wells that I'm looking in a particular area, which of them are showing decline on the production below what I would expect for this basin, and can I tie any of that into completions or geoscience or any of that information? And so it's a much more horizontal way of looking at the data. It's looking for those trends that you can then isolate and then dive into the deep level. And so it's very much related to the existing workflows, but it's another way of screening that data. And so typically speaking, the analytics teams may say, hey, look, I want to look at all the well headers. I want to very quickly be able to start seeing, well, what wells are drilled when, by who, for example, what are the completion methods? I may be interested to know, well, which ones have got which logs, because then I can start running field-wide, maybe gamma ray trends, normalization and interpretation. So again, just looking at a few logs, but across multiple wells, as opposed to looking at all the logs for a smaller number of wells. And again, maybe tying that back into production as well. And so can we enable that with the same underpinnings of the clean, consistent, interoperable data that we get from OSDU? And then can we elevate that also into the AI and analytics space? And then the key, obviously, when we're looking at this is we're not just looking at 6 wells, we're maybe looking at thousands and thousands of wells. And so then it becomes a question of scalability and access. And so that's where we start looking at it from our aspect and saying, well, maybe we need to start thinking about how can we take what we have that exists with OSDU, and how can we then start loosening it up for this AI and analytics world? And so that's a key part of our workflow moving forwards. The other thing that we're hearing from customers is that OSDU is great. OSDU is a great source for our proprietary data, but we also have a bunch of data in other sources. We have it from data vendors, the S&Ps, the TGSs, the Woodmacs of the world, a bunch of data insights which they subscribe to already. Could be from subscription bodies, could be from the likes of SPE, SPWLA, and AAPG. How can I get all of that data and connect it into a single place? And so there are two modes of thought here. You could push that directly into OSDU and utilize that as your source of data. There are even services available through OSDU, such as EDS. But there's also a thought that, well, maybe I could just gain those insights and I could connect them above the place. And so that's kind of our idea here, is that, well, maybe OSDU becomes just one part of the data platform story, one part of the subsurface story, and maybe I could start connecting in other sources of data. It doesn't even have to be subsurface data. It could be commercial data. It could be financial data. It could be a bunch of stuff which isn't really in the subsurface angle. How can I get that to a single user? How can I start utilizing these third-party agentic platforms, which ISVs are building? How can I get all of that along maybe with my documents that are unstructured? And so that's where we're looking to bring in additional capabilities within the Amazon portfolio. So that's where we talk about Quick Suite, or Quick as it's now known, and harnessing the capabilities. And again, that requires us to be able to, and for those of you who aren't familiar, Amazon Quick is a AI-powered single workspace. It enables users to be able to, through no code, be able to build agents, interact with existing agents, be able to interact with interconnected data sources, with agents which they're connected to, in a single pane of glass for business enablement, essentially. And so the idea here would be, well, let's see whether we can make EDI a part of that wider workflow, so that maybe teams working in terms of portfolio ranking, which requires a bunch of information that isn't just subsurface. It needs you to know about the infrastructure, it needs you to know about the logistics, it needs to know about the pricing of various commodities. How can I get all that information exposed to another level? And so really focusing on getting subsurface data to power the whole of the upstream providers, not just the subsurface department. And so on that, I wanted to give you just a little bit of a demo of what we've been working on in terms of this enablement layer. And so this is a quick demo of Quick, which I made yesterday, which is basically connected to a prototype that we have of EDI with this analytics layer, which exposes that data for you to be able to do these broad level queries. And so the idea here is that you would type in a query. So for example, this is connected to a bunch of Eagleford data. And so I want to know what are the 5 counties in my data set, which I'm connected to, that have the most wells. And so you'll see that what it does is basically it converts that query into something which we can then ask directly to the underlying OSDU EDI analytics layer that we've built. And so it can start bringing out these plots. And so again, very quickly, I can start to identify, well, I've got a bunch of information from Cairns County, LaSalle, DeWitt, etc., etc. You can then start diving further down into that as well. So we can say, hey, well, highlight the counties that have got the most wells that are in the oil window. And so again, now it can start focusing again. Same kind of distribution, to be honest, more wells, oil window kind of makes sense. That's where we're looking as an operator. And then you could start saying, well, okay, that's cool. But now I want to understand, well, I'm actually going to be working on a specific county. So I'm looking at B County. Which ones have got full logging suites? Which ones are ones which I can start analyzing and start to get the information? I can start intersecting multiple different queries here just because of that analytical layer that we've built underneath it. And so now I can say full logging suites, which formations most counted there. And so I can start asking multiple questions at the same time. I don't have to ask one question, then another, then another. The AI is able to convert that and then be able to query directly into our underlying infrastructure. And so here you can see it's found the 67 counties with the full logging suite. It's able to tell me what are the formations that we go through. Anyone who's familiar with Eagleford won't be that surprised with what's been encountered there. And then you can also start asking it to do plots. Now, the one thing about Quick is that it is not a subsurface tool. It is a general business tool. So you're expecting it to build you a beautiful correlation plot like you would see in a Petra or a Kingdom or something like that, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you just want to see a quick representation of what that data looks like, hence the name Quick, then it does have the ability for you to be able to start understanding. So you can see, and not too surprisingly, it's a layer cake, as you would expect here. There's some various information that we can gain from here. There's some trends that you can identify from here. And so for things like trend analysis, which is really where analytics comes in, you can see the sort of capabilities you would have here. And then finally, you can also ask for reviews of data quality. And so again, looking into the structured data that we have access here. And so we have the various petrophysical information. And so this is applying AI on top of that data. And so Quick is able to understand the petrophysical concept, etc. And you can connect it to other sources, such as your own internal best practices, for example. And so you get specific to your own operations. You can also ask Quick to start looking into data reports from non-OSDU sources. So here I've got a bunch of petrophysical reports, which are stored in S3 buckets. And so Quick can reach out and start gaining insights from existing works. And so here you can see this is it, taking all that information, putting it into the various tabulating format. And so that as a petrophysicist who's maybe new to the Eagleford, I'm now able to see, well, what should I be looking at? And so I can start interacting between unstructured and structured information in a single place. That was really all I wanted to share today. I just wanted to give everyone kind of like an idea of where we're moving going forwards. The ideas that we have. Again, our new release will continue with the OSDU alignment, but also just making sure that we are as we hear from our customers, that expanded workflow, that expanded reach, the ways they like to utilize subsurface data moving forward, making sure we're also able to support that. Appreciate it's half past the hour, and I want to make sure that Prashant from Hitachi has his time. So appreciate your time. I'll have a look at any of the questions that have come in while I've been speaking. I'll try to answer them in the text as Prashant is going on. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Awesome presentation. Quick question: that link with the story lane, is that available publicly, or should the folks go through you to get access to it if they want to?
Let's work to get that shared. And yes, we absolutely can share that.
Okay,
It's all
sounds good.
it's all public and synthesized data, so there's nothing particularly proprietary in there.
Okay, cool. So I think we have most of it recorded, but if you're interested to get a hold of that link and see the demo, just ping Chris or me, and we can help you to get that going. So with that, Prashant, if you're on the line, I'm happy to turn it over to you for a quick intro, the topic, and the presentation.
Thanks, Yuri. Let me quickly turn on my. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay.
And we can see the video, but we cannot see the slides yet.
I'm purposefully aligning my camera, so hold on a second. I found it's easier to move my chair instead of my camera, so.
We can see I mean, at least I can see a portion of you to the to my far right,
Ah,
but yeah. So yeah.
so let me quickly bring this up. Share screen.
And I know Prashant and Chris did a much better job than I making the camera work. For whatever reason, I could not get my camera work with Chime this morning. I don't know. It's too many platforms, but thank you so much for Chris and Prashant for making the
I
camera
think the
work.
bar has been set very low. Being put in the
Yeah,
pain, trying Teams and Zooms.
yeah. Well, now I can
Well,
see you, and I can see your slides. So take it away.
fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you everybody for joining this morning. Very good morning to all of you. My name is Prashant Muniraju. I'm a Senior Director with Hitachi Digital Services. We are a strategic partner with AWS, helping build the EDI platform that Krista shared. But we do have a product of our own, which is called the EDI Express. We'll talk today about some of the core capabilities of the platform and the changes that we're doing. So let me jump right in. Okay. So for the folks who are not aware on the call about the EDI Express, EDI Express is a feature parity in terms of the EDI solution offered by AWS. The main difference is that it's available through the marketplace for any customers who want the flexibility to go through the marketplace and get access to the OSDU. It is a fully turnkey solution from an OSDU standpoint, and you can get OSDU ready in a matter of hours. You can bring your own deployment models. We offer SaaS and PaaS models, and it really helps you shed your operational workload in terms of being able to manage an ecosystem like OSDU while getting all the full benefits of what the platform has to offer in terms of the community that is supporting it, in terms of the new capabilities that come out from the market. And more importantly, it is based on a pay-as-you-go model, which essentially means that you can subscribe to the product, use it for a week, test your workloads, and then you can unsubscribe as you figure out what is the right approach and the path forward for adopting OSDU in your organization. This is a fully AWS native solution that is available to all our customers today. In our discussions with customers, one of the key challenges that has been brought up is that, hey, we have all of this data on OSDU. We have the ability to go to the cloud, but there are some customers who do not have the ability to go to the cloud because they may not have the appropriate regions available in those regions. Or they may have the ability to move non-critical data to the cloud, but they want to keep the subsurface data within their ecosystems. And this has sort of led for us to have more conversations with them to understand what would be the guiding principle or a path forward for them to expand their adoption of OSDU and really take advantage of a truly distributed system to be able to manage their workloads. What we are building right now is the ability to support the same EDI Express on Outposts. And why did we choose Outposts? Apart from the critical data sovereignty piece that is part of everybody's agenda today, we wanted to make sure that our solution can stay as close to an AWS solution as possible and give the customers an opportunity for naturally progressing their workloads from their data centers to the outposts to AWS cloud solutions. And this is all baked on the premise that we have the ability to take your requirements today in terms of what your enterprises have to really mandate from a data sovereignty standpoint. And this is not just a soundbite these days, right? This is really how the industry wants to approach the data. There are going to be more and more regulations that is going to come in, which will require the technology companies to be able to manage this data within the walls of what the enterprise will allow them to do, what the regulations will allow them to do. And more importantly, there will be regulations which will force them to do it in a certain way because it becomes part of your national treasure as you start to think about your subsurface data. And we wanted to offer a solution that really addresses the core concerns and core capabilities that is needed for us to be able to take what exists today um, as a turnkey solution. The 6 points that Chris mentioned, right from ingestion all the way to a managed service model, to be applicable to customers who are truly interested in maintaining data in their own data centers and want to comply with all the regulations and rules that they're bound to. And no conversation is complete without AI today. What we are trying to address is for sovereign data and for sovereign AI, you need to start with data. You need to start with data in terms of your data residency requirements. You need to start with your ability to control and moderate the amount of data that you can store in your data center versus what you can send to the inference providers, whether it is the inference provider that you want to go with a third party or you want to build your own set of GPU infrastructure and hardware to be able to do those inferences. And it has to start with how you manage the data, and you want to be able to maintain the sovereign requirements for you to be able to manage data. Uh, to address these primary concerns, we are now offering EDI Express on Outposts, and we hope that it can start to become a foundation for you to manage your data within your ecosystem and be compliant with all the regulations and compliance requirements that is there in the market. So what does it mean for our customers? Having the same outlook in terms of how you would experience EDI Express, we are offering a fourth option from a deployment standpoint where you get the same OSD conformance. We are RTM25 compliant. It is fully managed, a turnkey solution by Hitachi. It will be available through the marketplace with a pay-as-you-go model from a licensing standpoint. And we want to bring in an automated upgrade, like when you go from an RTM25 to an RTM26, and OSU has a really strong roadmap as to where they want to take to by the end of the year. So we want to be in a position to completely take the complexity away from the customers to be able to manage this within the on-prem on your rack environment, right? So right now, we're still in beta. We're testing this solution out. It is not fully available in the marketplace, but our intent is to keep the same interface. In fact, you saw one of the screenshots that Chris had shared. want to keep the same interface for your data managers, for your geoscientists to interact with OSDU and have the ability to completely be transparent in terms of the infrastructure that you want to run your OSD workloads on, and enable any workloads, any AI workloads that you're thinking about from your organization standpoint to be able to run on Outpost. So what is going to be available as soon as we come out of beta? We're going to be R3M25 compliant. All OSD services that you are used to and that is available today from an EDI enterprise standpoint will be available through on the Outpost for you. We have done some significant changes in terms of how we provision and tear down an OSD platform, and we've gotten to a point where it's more of a declarative way to provision your instance. It's a fully reintent, which essentially means that if you have installed and deployed an OSDU, you know that you have to kind of follow through a very particular sequence of operations for you to be able to get to that. The deployments can start and stop at any point in time, and within 1 hour, you have a fully baked OSD solution up and running in your environment with all the tests that has been done to confirm that the solution works according to the standards that the OSD has put forward. Some of the key points that I want to really call this out is, these are in fully native AWS services. We have taken a look at what is available from an Outpost perspective and mapping it out to the AWS services that is available and fine tune the process and the implementation based on what the community has to offer to be AWS compliant on Outpost. It's going to be offered as a fully managed service, which essentially means you bring your Outpost rack, you plug it into your data center, and from then onwards, the entire lifecycle will be managed by Hitachi, from deploying your OSDU to maintenance to entitlements to tear down at the end of the day. And what this will give is an opportunity for you to evaluate this product on Outpost and essentially move to a broader cloud ecosystem once you're ready to be able to make the jump, make that initiative within the organization. I can take any questions. I know I'm sort of run through this rather quickly, but I can take any questions in terms of if we have, or happy to answer them offline.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Prashant. And I posted the link to the existing marketplace solutions that Hitachi and 47 Lining have on AWS Marketplace. Those include SaaS, PaaS, and kind of multi-tenant offerings that they have. Like Prashant mentioned, Outpost is soon to come. But if you want to go ahead and bookmark that link, please go ahead and feel free to do so. With that, I'm going to kind of ask folks to post a question in the chat, and we're going to have a live discussion. And after that, I'm going to ask everybody to take a survey. So if you have any questions, please feel free to go and mute yourself. I'm sorry, like kind of put yourself back off mute and ask questions for Chris and Prashant. And in the meantime, I'll share my screen and post the survey link, which I would really like for everybody to fill out as well. So any questions? If it's easier, I can go ahead and stop recording. And again, thank everybody for participation.